The views expressed on this podcast are based on a satirical and at times comical view of the subject matter. So don't get your panties in a wad. Live long and prosper, fuckers. Let's get the show started.
Big O! It's showtime!
This is the Tempest universe, man. Hold on to your ass. You're in for a hell of a ride.
Welcome to the Tempest universe. This is your host, Manny. And today we have a special episode of the Tempest universe. So you're going to hear a lot of phone calls coming in, probably interrupting the flow of this. But we have, which I'm going to get in contact in a few moments right now. That'll be Chrissy Newton from Alt.Pop.Repeat. And also, we might get a call from the one and only Ronny Dawson, believe it or not, out from Laughlin, Nevada. He is at the UFO Megacon. So, hey, it's going to be a fun-filled evening. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. And eventually, we'll open it up for everyone else to call. But we'll see what goes down. Let's see if we can get Chrissy on the line right now. Just have her chime in, if you will. We're ringing. You don't hear it, but I do. And we don't have her yet. While we get Chrissy on the line, the first thing that I want to talk about with Chrissy is all this craziness, the aftermath of the leaked information from this whole UFO report thing that we are going to try to kind of pick our brain about. Try to find out what the heck is going on, what's going down in the world of ufology these days, and really to solicit her opinion about it as well. Because for Pete's sake, we haven't even seen the damn report yet, but everyone's just going completely bananas about it. I almost feel like we kind of have to read it for ourselves to get an idea of what's going on, who's doing what, who said what, and which alphabet soup gave us this this idea that maybe it wasn't E.T., I guess. It looks like Andre tried to call in. No tech problems here, buddy. We're just waiting for Chrissy or the man, the one and only Ronny Dawson, to call in first before we open the lines to everybody else. And once we get in touch with these folks, we can go ahead and get this podcast rolling. But like I said, in the meantime, that's what we're going to talk about. Also, we're going to hopefully get a good update from Ronny Dawson out at the conference in Laughlin, Nevada. Ronny, right now, is involved in a speaker, kind of like a dinner thing, like tacos and beer for everyone. And they get to mingle if you're single. If not, just hang out by the mic and talk some shit, I guess. But these guys are all together, all the speakers, and they're having dinner today. And it might just be like a meet and greet as well, because, that's the way it rolls. This is a new thing for Ronny, something he's been looking forward to for some time. And hopefully we get to hear about his experiences out there in Nevada. And I could just imagine this thing has been sold out for a few weeks now. So there are a lot of folks there, a lot of people there to kind of get up to spec on UFOs and things like that. And it's funny that while this is going through, that they released the information, right? Somebody leaked the information from the Congressional UAP report. So I guess we'll see what's going down. We'll see what kind of an impact, or how, if in fact the leak actually might have changed the conversation for a lot of the speakers out there. Because let's be honest, people were basically waiting, just waiting on pins and needles for this particular report to come out. And I'm sure there's a lot of folks that who kind of, as they say, make a living out of ufology, were waiting for this report to give any kind of an inkling that maybe the U.S. government at one point did think that this was ETs, to kind of solidify whatever their stance is in their books. But then there's those folks who have always thought this to be a complete. See, I'm looking at Dre posting in the live chat here, and he says something about the Greer report. But let's see who's calling in right now. Hold on one second. Welcome to the podcast. State your name and where are you?
Hello.
Hey, Ronny Dawson is online. Ronny, what's going on?
What's happening?
So, how?
It's pretty noisy here. I'm at the Meet the Speakers Taco and Beer Party.
Hey, that's fancy.
Here at the UFO Megacon in Laughlin, Nevada.
So, Ronny, tell us about your experience. How's it going?
Who will be the speaker tomorrow morning? Can you hear me, Manny?
We hear you now. Who is it that you said that you're sharing the table with?
I got Montgomery.
So how?
Tomorrow morning.
Oh, nice. So how's been your experience so far? You're getting close to your time.
Yeah, it's been a blast, man. I won 4 earlier, so at the casino, so I'm high rolling now. But that was donating to the cause.
Right, I could just imagine. So any butterflies yet?
I'm looking at Richard Dolan right now, like 10 feet from me.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Have you met a lot of the ufology elites?
Oh yeah, all the main players are here. You know.
Right, I gotta tell you, the connection's pretty bad, and you keep checking out on us.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we have terrible internet here in the hotel. And this is a big ballroom here in the convention center, and we're having the big tacos and beer, meet the supper.
So any of the big wigs of ufology, any of them kind of warm up to you and try to find out your story ahead of time? Yeah, it sounds like
Michael from Sedona. I've talked to him quite a bit. I told him a story, so you know, there's been several people interested in my story here ahead of time.
Well, that's fantastic, Ronny. I really hope that they at least receive it as it's presented. Are you? I've been getting a lot of questions of whether or not you're going to present the clone story with the 17.
Yeah, see, they hadn't heard the story yet. So, but I'm sitting here looking at the crowd. I'm be able to tell the whole story. I'm not going to be able to tell the whole vulgar part of the story. So I'm going to have to mild it down a little bit for this crowd. They're not the explicit crowd.
Yeah, they're not our kind of people.
Yeah. So I've got to tell it in a way. But man, I've got 2 interviews. I haven't even spoke yet, and I've got 2 interviews. One with the Toronto Business Journal, the New York is wanting to do some kind of an interview.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And that's good, too. You got to get your story out there. Now, here's the other thing. One of the guys is asking, have you seen anybody that looks like they're Men in Black?
Yeah, man. It's pretty wild right now, man. It's like pretty busy in here. Big crowd. Beer and taco for anybody with with the Megacon.
Yeah. Well, like I said, we keep losing you over there, Ronnie. But listen, we all want to wish you the best of luck. Hopefully, after you get back from Nevada, we'll be able to touch base and you can tell us what your experience is about, and let them people know that I'm waiting for them to come to the Tempest universe. We'll talk to them.
All right, sounds great, Manny.
All right, Randy. Whatever you do, break a leg, but not, figuratively, not actually.
I'm my best, man.
All right, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for calling in.
All right, thank you, Manny. We'll see you later.
Bye.
I'm signing out.
Well, there you go. Ronny Dawson checking in. Yeah, I kind of figured the connection out in Laughlin, Nevada would be pretty horrendous. But shit, I had no idea. I had no idea it was going to be that bad. But there you go. Ronny Dawson hobnobbing with the lights of Mr. Dolan himself. And he's out there getting him some beer and hot dogs and making it work, man. Hopefully on Friday, he gets this done, gets the work done, gets his story out, and gets to have a lot more interviews. Really, to be honest. Get out there, let people know your story, and eventually, maybe the guys from Japan will come back. We're going to play a track, and while we try to contact Chrissy again, I have a feeling I don't actually have her most recent contact information, but that's all we got music for, Pally Wallies. So check this out. So it appears that maybe I don't have Chrissy's most up-to-date contact information. So there you go. Well, she also has some technical issues. So that's what they call par for the course, as it is. So let me just put in here, Chrissy, in the live chat. I am going to put in for you the contact info for Skype. That way we can get you on, because it looks like I have one from last year, and this may not be the one. We may not have you on the most recent list. So there you go. So we're trying to work through some technical issues. It's been a technical issue type of episode, right? Poor Ronny Dawson and having those tacos and beer. I think Green Man said in a live chat that Nevada does not know anything about tacos. So I may have to agree with him in that regard. But I've never gone to Nevada to have tacos. So there you go. That is exactly the way it goes. So we're going to get Chrissy in here pretty soon. Alt.Pop.Repeat. If you want to find out more about Chrissy and her co-host Marie, look at the description. You've got pretty much every single one of their social media outlets, their website, Instagram, Twitter, if you want to tweet it up, and actually even Facebook is on there too. So listen, it's cool. They've got a great podcast. It's about what we're about to talk about, and a few other things, because it's more about the culture and the things that happen. So we're trying to get her on here. As we all know, technology is a mother effer. And after we get Chrissy on, we'll open it up for the rest of the guys to get in here and maybe chat. I don't know if she's going to want to talk to the guys in the live chat, because they get a little wild sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see. We might just keep her up here for the entire time. Let's see. Maybe we'll play one more track while we wait. This is what happens with live podcasts. It should just... Ugh. This is what happens.
Strange vibrations
All right, folks, we are back. That was the track we're playing for you. And finally, guess what? I've got somebody here that everyone's looking to talk to right now. That's Chrissy from Alt.Pop.Repeat.
Hey. Hello, everybody. Hi,
it's
Manny
a crazy
again.
day. Dan connections, right?
It
Technology.
is a crazy day.
By the way, are you using a Microsoft computer?
I know. I'm using a Mac. I'm a Mac.
Oh, then you have no excuses.
I don't have any excuses, so I should know better. It's funny because sometimes I've had a moment. Have you ever had this where you forget your password? I woke up one morning and I actually forgot my password. And for like
that happens. No, it happens.
Right? And I was like, am I getting early signs of dementia right now? I'm like, what is happening?
But listen.
So that wasn't the case today. Today was actual tech problems, not tech problems with my brain.
But how many passwords do you have? Like, I have like 1 million passwords I got to remember because everyone has a different requirement. So it's like you're bound to forget some stuff.
Oh, yeah. It's true. I have to write everything down now as well, too, because we do so many things in a day that I find that I have to write down a lot of what I'm going to do or plan. Just when you work in like public relations and all this stuff that I've been doing, I have to I'm so planned by the day. I don't know if that's a good thing, to be honest.
No, it's good to be busy. Really, that's where I was going to start. By the way, I heard some puppy chains back there.
I did. I'm just my dog. He wants to go outside. I'm like, always something, right? Always something.
Yeah, totally. And that was the first thing I was going to bring up before we got into the topic at hand, the news of the month. It's been a whole year since you and Marie have been here. And you know what? I was thinking before the podcast, I was like, shoot, I didn't invite Marie. So I don't know if she would get the kind of the osmosis invite. So I don't know.
I didn't even, to be honest, I did when you were like, let's talk UFOs. I didn't know if she was going to want to join. So next time I will. I'm like, next time we'll do an Alt.Pop.Repeat reboot. And we'll bring Marie on.
Yeah, totally.
I always tell her too. I'm like, when we get into the chat, I was like, because I come in and listen sometimes when I'm like because it's actually like 11:30 here. So usually before I go to bed, when I get your emails that the show's going to be on, and if I'm not doing something else or I'm like not sleeping, then I usually try to jump in, and that's why I'm always in the Discord kind of chat.
Yeah. You start some trouble when you're in there. All right, so here's the deal. It's been a year, and I've been seeing that you, especially you, I see Marie's kind of busy too, but you, when it comes to UFOs, you are like everywhere. Tell us what's been going on since you were last here.
Oh my gosh. It started with you, Manny.
No, don't.
I think it did. You're one of the first UFO podcasts I ever did.
Oh, well, there you go.
Yeah. And so I guess what happened was you guys know I love UFOs. So it started there, and Alt.Pop.Repeat, we did that stuff with Jeremy Corbell, and then we did another segment with Dave Foley in it. Then I just kept getting deeper and deeper into it. And then the debrief launched, and my friend Ryan Sprague, is the host on the CW network for his TV show and his podcast. Right. And I reached out to him and I was like, who are these debrief guys? Like, they've never seen this site. This is new. So he's just like, hey, it's MJ Benias and Tim McMillan and Micah Hanks, and they're doing this news website for like science, tech, and defense, and obviously UFOs. So I was like, this is cool. So I added all the guys onto Facebook, and then I saw MJ accepted, and then MJ had a posting on for people to create content. So I reached out to him and I said, I love UFOs. I love science. I love tech. I love all of this. And I've always wanted to create content. And he was like, all right, let's give it a try. And he was like, do you want to create some news videos with us? And I said, yeah, I'd love to. So I sent over one as an example, because I said I didn't want to do editorial content. I wanted to do video content. And that's where it started. And then they obviously knew that I love UFOs. And as things started to grow, they were like, we need someone to do PR. So then I came. Oh,
there you go. Right up your alley.
And then thanks. Yeah. And then I became a partner of the debrief a couple months ago. So it's all moved really, really quickly. And then after that, I've just been a lot into the UFO Twitter chats and then just making content. I've been doing different interviews about ufology, and then just working on the PR side of it now with the debrief. That's been a big part of it. Like, how do you, do UFO PR in a way, right? Kind of, it's not really a thing, but, working with media and then, breaking stories, because we are breaking some stories in the UFO world. And that's been just a trip to be part of with these guys, because they're unbelievable journalists, like unbelievable investigative journalists. So I'm really just lucky to be in a really good camp right now.
They're pretty good because a lot of the stories that I pick up on the podcast that I do during the episodes, a lot of them come from the debrief, believe it or not. So I know that they've got their fingers out everywhere, feeling around for the next hot story.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. But we've got a hot one right now. We got a hot one. And that is the report.
Story?
Yeah.
Or do you mean the guys?
Well, I don't know about that. But please don't refer to the guys in the chat as hot, because they'll never leave the podcast. They'll be here every time, constantly. Yeah, their heads are really big. I just felt the earth just lose a few seconds. Yeah, so that's a story, right? And I know you've done interviews, of course, with Jeremy Corbell, and I believe you even had one with the one and only Louis Elizondo.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. So now I'm right. Oh my God, I forgot the New Frontier Network. So I'm also on a UFO podcast with a whole bunch of other researchers that have been doing this for years, and they're from around the world. They're from Peru, they're from the States, they're from England, they're from Germany, they're from South Africa. So we have a podcast where we kind of have this universal appeal. And then questions that we ask are really universal as well. So we've interviewed Lou Elizondo, Nick Pope, Robert Salas. I wasn't there, unfortunately, for the Robert Salas one, but one day I'd like to interview him myself. And just a multiple of gross people. James Fox has been on there with us as well. And Tim McMillan from our team is going to be coming on next after that. So it's been a ride with them, because I've obviously learned a lot from these men and what they've been doing over the years. And then I get to bring in just a different flair to it as well, too. And I'm the only female on the podcast, too. So it at least brings another female dynamic as well.
That's right. You keep them all in check. So
right. I don't know about that, but
all right, here's a question for you. So you've met with these guys. You've interviewed them. Corbell was in person, right? You kind of...
Yep. A couple times, yeah. I've become friends with Jeremy.
Yeah. And then Lou Elizondo, was that just over a line?
Yeah, I've gotten to know Lou over the years now, too. Over the months now. I've gotten to know him, getting to know him as a person. But the first time I interviewed him was with the New Frontier Network. But yeah, like it's I've gotten to know them. I don't really know Nick Pope. I only interviewed him once. But everyone else, I've been getting to know them as people, which is really, really great.
Yeah, and that's fantastic, because you got to know that facet of them, because otherwise, people just see them as being kind of outlandish when it comes to this topic. But my question for you is, first, let's get your take on the leaked information for this the UAP Congressional report, and what's your thoughts on it?
The 180-day report that's coming out June 25th. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, okay. So a few things. So first it was like, is it going to come out? It's not going to come out. Is it going to come out? Is it going to be pushed back? So now from what I'm hearing is that it should be coming out on the 25th of June. First it was like the 1st of June, then it was the 24th, and now apparently it's going to be the 25th. And obviously the New York Times got that piece, got a little whiff of it, of what's coming out. So I don't like the New York Times said. Obviously it's not going to be a massive disclosure of UFO, here's all of our deepest, darkest secrets that we're going to tell you now. I don't think that. If anything, we're just going to get tidbits of stuff. We're going to get things we already know in the community. Some things are not going to tell us for sure. There's going to be a classified section that we're not going to know about. And if anything, we're going to get more images. And I don't think this is not going to be a mass disclosure. This is not. I think if people were waiting to find out if there was aliens, I don't think it's going to go there. I think it's going to be just more Navy related and government related, and and I think over time different photos and stuff will start coming out in video. But I'm not holding my breath for some form of alien conversation or anything like that.
No, please don't, because it'll be all over for you. But listen.
I think a lot of us. What do you think? What's your thoughts on it?
Listen. I've never expected anything to come out of it, especially, 180-day report, just kind of throwing out there. And then the folks that are throwing out the requests are not people that you normally would see involved in this type of conversation anyway. So, they're being pacified. Even if they knew something, we're not really going to see that. There's not going to be any transparency there. And So no, I wasn't expecting any big stories to come out of it. But people are still kind of running with the idea that the report apparently surmises that basically there is no inkling of alien technology, that we're going to throw it on countries like Russia and China as being the main actors in this particular situation, in this UFO stage. But
So here's the thing.
yeah, go ahead.
Go on.
No, go ahead. It's your show
Here's
today.
the thing. It could be. It doesn't mean that UFOs don't exist.
Right.
If some of this recent footage that's come out is actually, foreign technology, it's totally possible, because like drone supremacy in China is just unbelievable where they're at with technology, especially with drones and what the capabilities that they can do. So I wouldn't be surprised if it was, but it also doesn't mean that the other thing that UFOs don't exist. It does not mean that at all. It also means that some of the other images could be UFOs, but some of this could be mistaken as foreign technology. It could be a mix of it. Susan Go from the Pentagon is a spokeswoman, hasn't done a good job of communicating to the general public and to investigative reporters and journalists and media about what this actually is. She's kind of just said, yeah, we don't, the footage is real, and then kind of leaves it at that. It's very open-ended. So when you do that,
she's no help.
She's not helping at all, right?
No.
And when you do that, you raise way more questions. Is it okay? Is it our technology? When I say ours, I mean by American technology, because I'm Canadian, but I'll just include myself in that for now. But is it American technology? Is it then foreign technology? And then is it UFO? So she's never really said that it's not. What we've kind of concluded that it isn't ours, and that's something that's been very much agreed upon, I think, across the board now. But what we're looking at, is it UFOs? Is some people are still using the alien conversation, but I stick to mainly just UFOs are separate than aliens. But is it UFOs or is it foreign technology? And and also here's the thing: I
think it's Canadian, by the way.
It probably is. It's
Yes.
Justin Trudeau.
Yeah, big time.
Damn prime minister. He's playing around with his drones. I honestly, so here's the thing: if it is if we keep saying that everything's a UFO and the mass media really blows it out of proportion, and in the next year or so, we could have a UFO bubble bust. And I don't want that. That's what I'm really worried about, is that the mass media is covering this, and they're like, yeah, and people are like, it's aliens, it's UFOs, and we're like, yeah, and everybody's like screwing, which is great because mass media is finally covering, which is awesome. But the problem is that it's so overhyped in a way that is so entertainment value, that if we do find out that it's Chinese or foreign or any form of other technology from another country, people are going to be like, oh, who cares about UFOs? And then we get stuck back to where we were, years ago, by just trying to fight again to get to, some proper information in the mass media covering it again. So that's what I'm worried about. I'm worried we'll have a UFO bubble bust, because I love this topic. We all do. And I want the mainstream media to keep covering it for the rest of our lives.
It will happen that way, by the way. It'll be like retired.
I hope so. Right.
And our great grandchildren children will still be like trying to figure it out.
I'm going to be joining this podcast with you, and we're still going to be talking about UFOs. I don't care what anybody says.
From nursing homes. So here's the thing.
Exactly.
And I agree with you in that point, right? There is this thing where through the media and things like that, they've kind of blurred the line of alien versus UFO versus UAP. And it seems like many of them are still trying to grapple with there's a difference between all of them. UFO, UAP, great, they're about the same, but we're trying to get to explain what those are before we jump to the alien talk. And that distinction is not there. And so people automatically think UAP, UFO, everybody's just talking about aliens, which is not the case, kind of like what you said and what the report is saying. But I recently saw a Washington Post video, which is an interview of Lua Lozando and the young lady. And this is, of course, post them letting out that somebody leaked the conclusion of the report before it's even been published. And so she did everything to trap him into a corner and to get him to say, what do you believe it is? And, he tried politely. It's like, I don't want to do that because I'm going to end up detracting from what the report is saying and the facts, because that's an opinion. And so she kept on, badgering him. And finally, he kind of gave in. And he gave 3 different scenarios. Besides it being another country with advanced technology, which he spent about 15 minutes talking against it, and he made a lot of good points in that video. But he also said it could either be from within our planet, interdimensional, or just an ET from somewhere else, which is the first time I've ever heard him say that at all. The very first time. So I was kind of taken back that he actually gave in. But there's this thing about the way he's speaking about the report and these results that were released that makes me feel like Lou knows a lot more than what he's I guess releasing to people. Did you ever get that impression from him?
I would say for sure Lou probably knows a lot more. The reason why I say that is because, and it's not like I know anything. I'll say that first. I don't know if Lou does or not, so it's just speculation right now. But I would imagine that Lou knows a lot more because he's been so connected in the community. So I bet you I don't know if he's had a first glimpse at it or not, but he's probably heard talk of it in people chatting. So I bet you he knows. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. If he didn't, I'd be probably more concerned. Right. Because I think Lou is one of the insiders in that way, right? Where within the community, where he is respected and people will give him information because they know that it will be disseminated properly and it won't be, misconstrued. So I bet you he does. Is it aliens? I don't know. I don't know if he's going to go down that road. I know a lot of people have been saying that narrative, though, recently, that they never really talked about it before. And it's funny that you said that because I've noticed that, too, that more people that were saying that it wasn't aliens before or wouldn't talk about it are more common now to talk about extraterrestrials. So that's interesting. And I'm glad you picked up on that as well, because it's made me wonder. And I'm just going to keep following the bouncy ball on this one. Right. If anything, I would say my thoughts on all of this is that I just don't think we're going to know what it is if whatever it is that is what's happening, or whatever we find out what's happening, if it's in a scientific way, I don't think we're going to be like, well, we never guessed that. I don't think we actually know. I don't think we have the capabilities yet through our language, like our lexicons, and through our science to really explain what's happening and to be able to break it down fundamentally. So, and then when we do, I don't think it's going to be like little green men in suits. I think it's going to be something else that we've never even thought of or imagined before, or pop culture's not even created. That's what I think. And then I think we're all going to be wrong. Right.
A little bit of a ET shock and all.
Maybe, I think that's more realistic in the more that I think about it over the years, and as I go along and start learning more, that is probably the most plausible right now than thinking that it's little green men in green suits. I just, even though it'd be great if it was aliens, but I just don't think we have I don't think we have the mindset yet and the knowledge to be able to figure it out yet. But it doesn't mean we won't. Give us a little more time.
Yeah. A lot more time. A lot.
Yeah.
It's just, it's in a lot of ways, it's not just complex, but it's perplexing too. That we, heck, I haven't been around for 70, 80 years, but still, that we still have the same narrative going on from the government, and it seems everyone always buys it.
Oh, yeah. It's
weird.
It's true. It's true. So a couple things, in the Cold War, the narrative was a little more disinformation based. So now I think what's happening is we're not getting as many different, maybe we are, and I don't know, and maybe not seeing it, but I don't think what's happening right now is a disinformation campaign. In the early 60s and, and during that time in like the 70s and things were moving, they were doing that. And they even said they were doing that. So I think that's why there's a lot of distrust around the government because of that. And I don't blame people that are boomers and older to say that they don't, trust the government, because they went through a lot. So it doesn't mean that it's happening now. There are way different ways of propaganda that could be happening too. But right now, I am okay with the narrative that is being given from the government right now of talking about it. I don't see any form of propaganda immensely, and I also don't see any disinformation campaign. But I could be wrong too. So I think we'll find out in the next 5 to 10 years. We'll start seeing stuff that will happen. We're also going to see a lot on the 25th. If a report comes out, and depending on what side and angle they take, and if it is different foreign technology, if they decide to totally, debunk UFOs or just forget about them and say this is, and then really put in a disinformation campaign, that's possible too. But right now that's not happening. So I think we just have to be mindful every single time something comes out of the government, we have to ask a million questions back.
Right.
And that's why we have investigative journalists to ask them, right? Because legally they have to answer them, right? The Freedom of Information Act, there's certain things that they have to answer towards. So if catching the government if they're lying or not. So I think we're getting better. I think people are getting better at that. And I honestly think that there should be courses in every single UFO podcast, there should be a person that comes on and talks about the Freedom of Information Act. Not me, but a professional that can explain everything and what questions the average person should ask the government when it comes to not even just UFOs, just everything in general. I just think that's important, right? Because
absolutely. You got to know your rights.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And you need to ask better questions too.
Yeah.
You know your rights, ask better questions, and you get direct information, and you'll get more factual information then as well.
We might have to sign up Dre to do that, to come on here and talk about the FOIA. But in your travels, as you've kind of you dove head first in the last year into ufology, do you get the impression that folks who are really into the topic, really out there social media, have a background in it, they've spent decades studying this stuff, that they're kind of starting to dwindle because they just can't take it anymore?
Yeah. A lot of things, the information's coming out fast. There's something, that's why I keep saying it's entertainment. And it's not, though. I don't think UFOs are, but it's acting as entertainment because we get a new, jolt or a burst of information, right? And then everyone's and everyone's excited, and then we're all on it. It's just living it. We're at the tip of our toes right now, following it. So yes. But the other thing is there's this conversation I'm hearing of the Old Testament and the New Testament.
Okay.
So we're having these, which I laugh because I don't think ufology is a religion. For some people it is, but it is not for me. But some people that the Old Testament, New Testament comments are, Old Testament is everything before 2017, and then the New Testament is everything after 2017, so into recent time. And what they're saying is that and maybe don't quote me on this, but from what I know, the government is really looking at 2017 and now current, right? Mm-hmm. They're not really looking at the past. And it's unfortunate because there's so many good ufologists and researchers that are accredited, that are probably better than what the government's been employing and have been doing this for years and have so much data, and they're not even looking at it. Or from what I know, they're not looking at it. So I think that's probably why those people that are researching feel that they're just being forgotten about, because maybe their work isn't being taken seriously like it used to be. And then all these new key players are coming in as well. So I would say that's why, and it's unfortunate. And anyone who is a ufologist that's doing this, I'd say keep going and keep researching and keep pushing all that information forward, because we need more people doing this in all different fields rather than just the government doing it. Right? We need proper scientists doing it too, scientists that are interested and have actually been doing this research as well, coming forward and saying, I'm a scientist and I'm doing this, and hopefully, being mindful that maybe the ridicule is not as bad anymore, and them coming forward and saying, this is the stuff that I know. I really hope for that, because I would love a group of scientists, and maybe it's happening now and I'm not sure of it, but I would love for them to really academically look at this with everyone together and taking other information from the past and what people have done, and starting with that data and analyzing it, and then looking at new data as well. So
scientists are still kind of afraid of the stigma of UFOs. So
I know it's
Yeah, they
Sad.
stay out of it.
You think that 2017 we'd have more, right?
Yeah, you would, but that's the way it is. Some people just don't like it. The pressure of having to explain why you believe in ET. It's just weird. But here's another question for you. So there is this other idea, which I saw from Lou Lozano's interview, because I was actually surprised that he brought out some documents and, to make his statement that the UFOs have been around for, over 70 years, and the government has reports on it. And yet they want to say that one of these other countries, that they actually kind of leapfrogged technology, even though our intelligence committee community could not actually piece it together, and that would be the actual big loss for us to come to the conclusion that it's either Russia or China. It's not the fact that they are the ones that are with these UAPs or UFOs, it's the fact that we didn't know about it. Wouldn't it be kind of strange for us, who follow the topic of ufology, for it to really be another country? I was starting to believe that Wakanda is real.
If it is really another country?
Yeah.
It could be. We can't, even though all of us believe so much in this community, we have to be open-minded in other ways that it could be something of technology, and we have to not be so egotistical too, right? It just in general as countries in North America being like, oh, we're the best, and that we would know better if it was another foreign technology. We might not. So if that is the case, then, it's scary that we don't know that, and they have technologies that are way more capable than our own. So I would hope that we can figure that out in North America so that we can advance our technology, especially when it comes to defense. That's very scary. That's also what brings on to another conversation too, right? That maybe all of us aren't having that. If it isn't UFOs and it's foreign technology and we are not up to snuff with that, what does that mean for us in our defense?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It is.
It's a very, very tough one. And then where does that leave us in the next couple of years? What does that look like? And do we have the ability to ramp up our technology just as fast? So I think of that, and I'm worried. Yeah, that's why, and almost in a way, that's why I want the media to still talk about it, but I would like it to be slowed down. But there's a lot of leaking is happening right now, and it might be to our detriment, or it might not be, right? We'll see. I just hope we don't get that bust. I really do, where, people stop taking UFO seriously. They were like, oh, remember the time of,
right.
year of the couple years of the 5 years of the UFO, instead of having in the next 10 years being like, oh, remember 2017 and look where we are now, rather than look what the media is covering now, rather than just laughing at us and being like, oh, see this community, they thought it was UFOs, but it's actually technology, and now we're just not going to pay attention to them. And that's what I'm worried about. As someone that works in PR and sees how media runs, and I could see that being very plausible, that they just turn their backs to it because they just don't take it seriously anymore. And a lot of journalists have investigative journalists that have put their entire lives into this now, are in the forefront, and they are spokespeople for this. It's not good for them either then, if we have a UFO bubble blast, because then people might not be reading their content, or people might not be taking those things as seriously anymore. And same with the general public. The general public might just turn off as well. But that doesn't mean, if the general public does decide to turn off, and same with the media, it doesn't mean that UFOs don't exist.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, but I could see that as being the end game, right? You set someone up. Oh yeah, you've got this great run for 5-6 years. You've got all these well-known people in the fray talking about UFOs. You got people in government, and then your report says none of it is real. You've been living a lie for the last 5 or 6 years, so you're welcome. Yeah, and I could see that UFO bubble busting just because of that. So yeah, it's a crazy idea that would actually come to fruition. It's pretty sad. But even today I was thinking that, if it's not those two, then we definitely have a Wakanda somewhere, and somebody needs to tell us, because this is getting crazy. But then you look at these other stories, right, that deal with children in schools and UFOs landing, like South Africa, Australia, and it's like, well, how would you explain some of those? And I think that's where, to your point, they need to go further back to those incidents and include that in what the human experience is when it comes to UFOs, not just, what the military has been reporting.
I agree. And having science, the government employing people within the scientific community, or science just looking at this and talking about it from a psychology level and also just a scientific, level in multiple different areas, right? So I agree. The Area School event is unbelievable. Like there's a movie coming out, I think this year or next year about it. So we had James Fox had his, and now there's just a movie on the Area School event. So I'm really excited for that. I agree that the government has to have a conversation about that, and people won't let it go. There is this other subculture that's bubbling right now on the experiencer side that is happening. There's apps now. I forget what the app's called, but I ended up seeing it online. And I was like, are you an experiencer? And I'm like, oh my God, what is this? And it was like, here's a whole community, people that are experiencing, UFOs, and it was just a whole bunch of different things around pseudoscience. But experiencers were one of them, from like abductions, and I was like, oh my God. And it was like a whole little like village in there in that app. Right. I was like, wow. So so on the subculture side of things, I'm going to like pull it an Alt.Pop.Repeat moment here, but on the subculture side of things, there are experiencers that are talking about it and trying to push this into the mainstream. So UFOs are in the mainstream, but abductions aren't. So there are people that are having more conversations, and I've talked to people that are experiencers, and I've talked to people that have podcasts that are experiencers, and they're saying that they're feeling that the ridicule is not as bad anymore as it compared to it used to be. So they feel like they have this ability, because there's so much more of a community and people that are having experiences and sharing it, that they have this ability to talk about it now and openly. So that's bubbling up right now. So let's see where that plays out in the next couple of years too, because if we don't have a bubble bust, that community's still trying to push it to the forefront.
Right.
So,
and actually, they're pretty big on Facebook. I've come across quite a few groups on Facebook that had to do with experiencers and things. And actually, some of the folks I interview actually came from some of those groups back in the UFO Buster Radio days. So, it's out there. And, they also need a voice in this, right? Because it's not just F-18 Hornets chasing down UFOs. It's the folks that experience it, up close and personal. Those are the guys that are being missed too.
I really hope we at some point can get to the bottom of that one day too, because it's, for them, it's real. Doesn't mean it is or it isn't. And I would never tell an experiencer what they experienced isn't real, because it's real to them. And if it's traumatizing or it's a good moment or it's happy memories for them, I hope that it's happy and they've had a positive experience. But the people that haven't, that's one of the most traumatic things you could ever experience in your entire life. And who the heck is going to relate to you unless it's somebody else that has experienced the same thing?
Exactly. Yeah.
So they need to have that. And if it's not alien abductions or things going on, and it is some form of the mind or other things that are happening, then those people still need to work together collectively to figure out what's going on. And science somehow has to prove that, because there's a lot of people. It's not like it's just a couple people. It's a lot of people having this experience and having experiences like this. So we need to have a conversation about that. And the government won't, for sure. But that's where the people start to have it first. And that's why there is a subculture now that's trickling up to the mainstream.
Yeah. So let's go to the other side of the whole conversation. CE5, Stephen Greer, and all of these, famous folks like Demi Lovato coming out and saying that she can contact aliens through the subconscious, through CE5. So that's another, I guess you can say, subculture of ufology, right? Where there's folks who say they are in contact with aliens all the time, and all they got to do is go outside with Stephen Greer, and they can do that.
Yeah, I would say that's part of like the experiencer collection outside of the abduction, but they're pretty close into it as well, the CE5. Yeah, I hate ragging on people in the community. So the only person that I ever do rag on is Stephen Greer.
Oh, get out of town.
Reason.
Are you serious?
Yeah. For one reason.
You're on the right podcast, by the way.
Yeah. For one reason. Stephen Greer has for sure been an activist for years around this.
Yes.
And that's fine. You know, he has. The one thing I don't agree with Stephen Greer on, and people can disagree with me, I'm fine with this, but I don't know anybody else. Okay, so we've have a couple people in the UFO community that for sure have made money off being on documentaries or have made documentaries or been on television shows and have made money. You know, they've made money in the entertainment space of things. Sure, they've made apps. They've made things like Gaia where they've done productions, right? Like there's so many different things. Right. I'm okay with that. I think that's fine in my place. And this is very biased too, right? Doesn't mean I'm right. It's just how I feel morally. And now you have someone who's Stephen Greer who is saying to people, I'm going to show you UFOs, or you're going to have an experience that's like this type of phenomenon. You're going to be connected to it. I don't think that's right because you don't know if they're going to happen. And saying, well, I am the connector. I'm one of them they speak to, and you can do this as well, but you need to pay money to have these experiences. Right. So I believe they're between $3,000 to $5,000 per experience. There's people probably going to those experiences and not seeing UFOs or having any experience, and then they're going back and back again and back again, and they're spending probably their life savings, maybe not, or a lot of money on that, and nothing's happening to them, but they want to believe so bad. I have a hard time when people are selling that type of things to people and taking their money, and saying they're an advocate and that they can speak to these people and they've had these experiences because they're one of those people that can talk to aliens or have had it, where I've looked at other people and they're not taking their money. You know, they're producing something and giving content and researching and putting it forward, but they're not taking people's money individually, and saying, I'm going to show you this experience and you're going to talk to aliens or UFOs. I have a hard time with that. I just do, because I can imagine, I would love to ask Stephen Greer, if I ever interviewed Stephen Greer, I would ask him, how much money has one person ever spent with you and they've never seen a UFO? I'd like to know that, you know, and would you give them back their money?
Probably not.
Yeah. And I know from what I've heard with him is that he asked for his questions up front before he's interviewed, because I think he's worried that people will ask those questions. And that's something I would ask him. I would grill him based on that. And that is the only reason why I never bring up other people in interviews, but I bring up Stephen Greer for that reason, because I just don't feel that that's right. I don't feel taking people's money and saying that they're going to show them something. And he doesn't guarantee it, I believe, but I just have a hard time wherever people are giving their time and not asking for people's money in that way. People are consuming content and they're giving content and producing it rather than asking for money for an experience.
Yeah, and when I think about the idea of a UFO religion, I think about Stephen Greer. I really think he's formulating what you can consider to be a UFO religion.
Yeah, I don't like anybody who thinks that, you know, I don't know if Stephen Greer thinks that he's a messiah or not, or some form of guru, but anybody who wants to be the guru, and I'm not saying, because I don't know if Stephen Greer really puts himself forward of that, but if he is, and he's building a religion around ufology, I don't agree with that either. And I also I don't think anybody's saying that they're like some form of guru or whatnot to this, and that they're special scares me.
Right.
And anyone that says they can show you UFOs or do that, or they know everything about them and they're the only ones that know, run away.
Well, not even that, but from these experiences, he's actually said that people have gotten healed.
Oh, has he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So that's why I don't really care too much for Stephen Greer. And like you said, he has been out there doing what he can for a long time. So you got to give him credit for that. But this other stuff is just weird.
I'd love to ask him why he felt that he would have to go down this other road. Like, why was he so compelled? And maybe he has spoken about it, and I haven't heard an interview, but why he, pivoted so hard from, doing having kind of disclosure movements and being an activist in this, to now like going into this, more religion based or conversation around like, healing people and having experiences and CE5 and knowing how to do it. The other thing too about CE5 is that you don't need to go and use Steer's app. It's been around for years. You just have to go online and look it up, and you can do it in your backyard. So you don't have to pay money to Stephen Greer to do this in his app. That's the other thing is like, and I don't know if he ever notes that there's other ways to do it, and there's other places to get this information than just him. And there's groups around the world. Before Stephen Greer even came out, of him talking about it from the mainstream media and like documentaries, I remember like hearing places in California and all these other groups of people that would get together. I think it was weekly or monthly, and do meditation sessions together and do like UFO channeling sessions. And they were doing it for free, and there were meetup groups. And then there was somewhere you could go online as well. And it was like one time during the day that they were trying to do like a universal, worldly CE5. So you find out when that was, you'd find out what time everybody was doing it, so that you were all doing it at the exact same time around the world. And that wasn't Stephen Greer. That was just a group of people. I forget what the Facebook, I think I'm still in the Facebook community. I haven't just, took myself off it. I just haven't seen anything.
Right.
But, yeah, like that's like there are like, so I found it interesting before, but Stephen Greer has just really popularized it immensely.
Yeah, and you know what? I did read that he does have like it's a full week long or like a 3 or 4 day experience where he does a lot of other stuff. I guess, prepping people for it with peyote. But, he's trying to get them to where they have that religious experience. So I get it. That's fantastic. So I don't know. He's always been a bit peculiar to me, and that's why we call him the reptilian man on the Tempest universe. But anyway, listen, Chrissy, I thank you for coming. I know I'm keeping you up late. I don't know if the guys have any questions for you. They've just been going on and on about all kinds of things, talking about the book Enoch and the Bible. It just takes off on the chat all by itself. So I guess we'll leave it there because we want to keep you up too late. So any things that we can see from you in the future?
Yeah, I'm going to be coming. So I have a show right now that's just mainly about science, tech, and defense. And it's just audio. And there's obviously visual overlays on YouTube on the debrief. It's called Rebelliously Curious with Chrissy Newton. But now I'm actually doing an interview version of it that's going to come out. So I'm just collecting some interviews right now and doing some video editing. So check that out. You can go to thedebrief.org and then go to their YouTube site and follow us. And yeah, that should be coming out in the next month or so. So I'm excited to release that. And it will have I interview Leslie Keane actually on Friday. So that will be part of it. Chris Hadfield, a Canadian astronaut. So there's some really great company that's going to be in this show. So I'm excited about it.
Chris Hadfield. There was a recent story about him, wasn't there?
Well, I believe he made a comment about UFOs, and
Yes.
one of the UK publications, the tabloids, took it out of context. So he's had a couple, because before I believe there was some mention of him not liking UFOs or not believing in UFOs.
Right.
I do talk to him about UFOs in the podcast, so tune into that because I do mention that to him because when it came out, I did comment on it. But some people do take things out of context, right? A lot of UK tabloids. And the crazy thing is that's why I say like ufology is like this entertainment part to it, because obviously there's like TV shows and stuff, but you're getting tabloids that like love this stuff and pick it up. And that's why it's like a combination of everything. I think that's why UFOs are so attractive too, that there is entertainment to it. There is this the mysterious side to it that is the phenomenon. There is like a science technology base to it. Now it's like a media base. There's an academic side to it. There's a political, it's everything.
Right.
Like it's literally everything that you could possibly get in one place of all different types of mediums of entertainment and politics and you name it. So that's why. But I always laugh when I see tabloids pick it up. I'm like, never ends. Never ends.
Yeah, and it really is, like you say, it's a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
But that's what keeps it entertaining in a lot of ways. It keeps you interested, too, to see what's going to be the next big thing.
Well, if you're a politician and you never really followed UFOs, you probably do now because it's all over the government.
Oh, yeah.
right? Like
Yes,
it's
yes.
like Pentagon people that are generally write about the Pentagon are writing about it. Like political writers are writing about it now. So when that starts happening, and it's not just entertainment and defense stories, it's everything. Like it is really exciting. Like it is. It's kind of a soap opera in its own way.
It is. I mean, COVID-19 is almost gone, so got to pick up on UFOs. That's going to be my next platform. Chrissy, thank you for joining us today. Folks, look at the description. Everything Alt.Pop.Repeat. And next time we'll have Marie back on so we can have a full Alt.Pop.Repeat craziness on the Tempest universe.
100%.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks, Manny. Good to talk to you.
Good talking to you. Folks, there you go. That was Chrissy from Alt.Pop.Repeat. And what a great podcast. Go ahead and check it out. The name, the website, the social media information is in the description. I'm going to go ahead and now they're asking questions. Like she just hung up and now you guys got questions. Listen, I am going to play a track and then I'm going to leave the line open to see if any one of the Asgardians wants to call in. So we'll see. We'll see.
You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. You always thought that you were weak, but babe, you're wrong. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Think that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're stronger than the others think. And who cares if you might mess it up? Go ahead and shine, darling. Go ahead and shine, my dear. 'Cause who cares if you might mess it up? Just shine. You shouldn't doubt yourself, 'cause you're a work of art. You should know that you are perfect with those flaws. Yeah, you better step into the light, just give it a try. Know that it's time you let that spark out. You've been hiding in the shadows way too long. And who cares if you might mess it up? You're
Ladies and gentlemen, on the line with me is the one and only Green Man. Hey, so I hear that you've been hearing things out on the West Coast.
In the last 4 or 5 months, we had the third one yesterday, and it's all over the news. Nobody knows what the hell it is. We got military bases like crazy out here, so that they always check with all the military. No military, no seismic activity. Nobody knows what the hell it is.
That's just crazy, because I remember when I lived in the Dallas area. There was a good 6-7 months where people were hearing some of the craziest sounds, and they were reporting it just coming from the sky. So strange.
Yeah, I've seen video of horn sounds and massive trumpet sounds and shit from various places. And I remember Game was driving down the road one night and heard that weird fucking metal chainsaw kind of crazy sound as he was driving through the middle of fucking BFE. But dude, I mean, most of them here are just, it's almost kind of like you take a sonic boom and a thunderclap, and they had a little bastard child. That's
Jeez.
What it kind of sounds like.
Sounds like a wild stripper party.
Well, we have strippers out here too. But yeah, dude, it's like the other night, I'm sitting in my garage and I hear this, this half, sonic boom thunderclap, and I'm like, what the hell was that? It's like I'm a couple miles down the road from SeaWorld, and during the summer they do fireworks, but they don't get anywhere near that loud. And I saw a couple of interviews. They were out talking to a couple of people that were out on the Big Bay out here, fishing off of one of the piers, and they said that it sounded like it was coming from down south. Like
down south, towards Mexico?
Well, yeah, more towards that way. Not necessarily from Mexico, but I know there is a weird military installation close to a place called Imperial Beach, which is kind of two little county areas. You got, TJ, then on our side you got San Ysidro, and then it's a couple little smaller areas like Nestor and whatnot, and then you have Imperial Beach, and then they have the Silver Strand that goes up the coastline. It's like a man-made kind of path. Well, no, it's not. Well, yeah, there is man-made, because I've always heard rumors that it's partly rigged to explode in case the Navy needs to get out quick.
Right.
But yeah, it's basically a long kind of road right along the beach line, and so you got beach on one side and bay on the other. Along, right there, right down by IB, they had this weird freaking installation. It's this giant it's this big gray round building, surrounded by fencing with all these kind of weird antennas, popping out. And I did a lock job for a guy one time that was in the Navy that actually worked there, and he said it's some kind of advanced radar or sonar installation.
Oh, really?
So I don't know. Maybe they're doing something weird and goofy down there that's almost kind of like a little miniature HARP experiment or something like that, to where maybe they're, I don't know, because if you get little smaller meteors and stuff coming through the atmosphere fast enough, they'll make little sonic booms too, and you won't really hear them, which is kind of like one of the possibilities that they're saying. But for it to happen 3 times within a few months.
Yeah, and you would have to have an active meteor shower going on for it to be consistent like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is just so weird. It is.
Yeah, it's weird. Nobody knows what the hell it is, but yeah, every once in a while it'll rattle the windows and set off alarms.
That is just wild. So let me ask you while you're on here. So what's your thoughts on this report thing? Do you think that people are going to believe it's Russia and China?
From some of the maneuvers that they're reported to doing, like they were saying, like Favor was saying, you know, the target that he was watching dropped 80,000 feet in a second. There's nothing to be able to have that level of technology.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to have control of gravity. Otherwise, whoever was flying the fucking thing would be turned into, you know, spaghetti sauce on the back of the UFO.
Like a blob, a human blob.
Yeah, bits, juice, and chunks. That's all that would be left. Because, the human body cannot withstand anywhere near that level of G-forces. So if it is another country, they're not 10 years ahead. They are hundreds of years ahead. Because to control gravity, I mean, that requires, you would basically have to harness the power of our sun to be able to control some kind of, you know, gravity, and to be able to fit it into something the size of what they were chasing off the coast here.
It's bananas.
That's a level that's, how can you not, you know, recognize that? How can you not acknowledge, okay, well, that's, you know, massive jump in technology. If somebody else does have that, I think we would have been in trouble by now.
Yeah.
Because they can do that, you know, they can make smaller weapons or something like that are just, you know, years and years and years ahead of what we've got.
Right, and so to the point that Louis Lozando has been making in the last week is that you're looking at a significant leap, almost like 1,000 years. So who the hell is going to keep that, especially a communist country that you are involved in altercations with throughout, you know, the last few decades? Why would they keep that secret when they can just silence all their enemies with a couple of Tic Tacs?
Yes, like 70 years ago, China was not anywhere near where they are now. You know, I think 70 years ago, I think they were going through like a famine or something.
Exactly. That's one of the points you brought up.
Yeah, it was not, you know, they were busy at that time. I think they were busy, parts of China was, I think, even being occupied by Japan at that time. So
it's madness.
70 years from that to being able to control gravity? Bullshit.
Yeah, it's I don't know. But people are so, you know, here today, gone tomorrow, that I can see a lot of people just going with it and just be done with it. Let's move on to something else.
Yeah. And that's part of the other thing, I think, why this is all coming out right now, dude. It's just a distraction. You know, it's jingling keys. You know, look here, jingling keys while they're doing some fucking shady shit off to the side.
Right, giving us the okie doke. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think.
So, we're gonna get probed, but it's because we're not paying attention to what's going on. And
exactly.
You know,
I think we should all just be allowed to have, like those homing missiles on the top of our houses. And whenever we see a UAP, we just knock it out the sky. It's the only way we're going to know.
Well, I don't know if I'm still not necessarily for just like, you know, it's there, shoot it. You know, I'd like a little bit more intel before I go shooting at something that could possibly fucking vaporize me.
But I mean, really, if it's shaped like a Tic Tac or it looks like an egg, shoot that shit out the sky. Let's just be done with this. Let's just do it. Your egg should not be flying, nor should your candy. Take it out the sky.
Well, true, but you run the risk of being turned into soup. You know, that's the only thing.
Yeah, but
you never know.
You gotta take a chance sometimes. Sometimes.
Yeah. Well, look how that turned out for Travis Walton.
Yeah.
Oh, let me get out of the truck and take a look.
Yeah.
Oh, this kind of look. My ass.
Yeah, poor Travis.
If you're listening,
Travis.
Yeah, I know he gets butthurt about the probing thing. Sorry, Travis.
Yeah. Well, actually, most of the experiencers feel that way, except for Ronnie. He's okay with it. But you know,
well, he was the probe.
He was. Well, his clone was. He was. Yeah, but yeah, I think it's a little crazy. We'll see what happens. But I really want to know who leaked the damn information. That's the person we need to get in front of Congress to answer some questions.
Don't even get me started on that. Dude, I'm still trying to figure out how the fuck Tom DeShlong got hooked up with fucking the government to get stuff originally, man. That still amazes me. How a guitar player for a punk band got hooked in with the fucking U.S. government and got handed all this shit.
Yeah, he was that a payoff? Was that a payoff to keep Tom DeLonge and his To the Stars Academy quiet? Because they have been ever since I got that military contract. You don't hear about them.
Oh yeah. Once the money's flowing, man, you're not gonna talk shit about the boss if the money's flowing. And Blink ain't making any more albums, so thank God.
Thank God.
Yep. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry. Well, sorry. Not sorry to any Blink fans out there.
Yeah. So I guess that would be a good thing to figure out. What was To the Stars Academy's last tax filing? Because I remember about 2-3 years ago, they looked like they were about to go bankrupt, and then they got these contracts.
Oh yeah, and then they disappeared. So like I said, money must be good.
Oh, I'm sure it is amazing money that they're getting to. Because I didn't see any of those guys having the expertise to really help the military when it came to metamaterial. That just made no sense at all.
No, and say all that shit they got. Those are all bits that they got somehow after Art Bell passed.
There were pieces of Art Bell?
Yeah. Old metamaterial, the old, these were supposed to be fragments of the area or the Roswell crash.
Oh, okay, yeah. I remember a story about that.
Yeah, and, he gave little chunks to a few friends. He gave a piece to Larry King one time when he went on his show. Yeah, and it's pretty funny because Larry hands it to him in this little glass jar, and Larry takes it out and starts playing with it in his hands. And Art Bell's like, "Hey, Larry, you may not want to play with that too much. It is slightly radioactive."
Yeah,
and shovels it back in the bottle, But yeah, it's supposed to be an alloy of manganese and beryllium or something like that. But we have no way of combining these two metals right now. I think we have them as like powders or something like that. Mm-hmm. But we cannot make this alloy. But when it was all tested and everything, that's what the analyzer said. That these are the two main components in this, and we have no idea how this metal was made because we don't know how to make this metal.
Yeah, and it was weird because I remember reading a story that Linda Moulton Howe was also involved in that transfer of metamaterial to the Stars Academy and then the military.
That explains a bit more because she had old school ties with Art.
Yeah, there you go.
So I would be surprised if Art didn't give her a few chunks.
Well, we're talking about metamaterial, right?
Well, Linda, she's not. I'm gonna be fucked up. She ain't the prettiest lady.
Anyway,
dress is weird now.
This is a Tempest universe, by the way, just in case you guys didn't know.
Yes, know who to send the lawsuits to.
Yeah, P.O. Box, please. Sorry, man. And so we have Green Man on, also known, aka Tom Selleck, out of the West Coast, telling us some stories and things that happened recently in his neck of the woods with strange sounds in the sky, which actually was even covered by the news locally, wasn't it?
Yeah, on pretty much every channel. And they were talking about it yesterday. They were talking about it again today. I posted one clip in the Discord chat. So everybody come on into the Discord chat if you're that curious, and the link is there to one of the news clips.
Yeah, and most of you guys that you hear on the live shows in the live chat are in Discord, and we tend to, find stuff, come across things, and share it in there so that, everyone can share in the knowledge of the wackiness that this story is about. Well, Green Man, I don't want to keep you too long. I don't think anybody else is going to call, so I think you're the last guest for today.
Well, I'm okay. I'm not going to pretend to try and follow Chrissy. She's the closer, started the show.
Yeah, there you go.
That's for damn sure.
Yeah, Chrissy. Yeah, so hopefully we'll get Marie and Chrissy back on here again in the near future and see where the heck... And it'll be after this report finally comes out, so maybe we'll talk about that a little bit as well.
Cool. Yeah. Well, thank you very much for having me on, Manny. As always, dude, you are the man.
Well, thank you for sharing that crazy information from California.
Anytime.
But listen, if you're okay with putting missiles on your house, let me know. I know a guy.
I personally, I wouldn't mind it, but I'd want a manual targeting.
Yeah, good idea. No kidding. You might take out your neighbor in their Tesla car.
Well, I wouldn't mind taking out a couple Beamers in the neighborhood.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you very much, Green Man. We'll chat later.
Thank you, bro. All right, man. Bye.
Later. So there you go, the one and only Green Man, a.k.a. Tom Selleck, on the Temperature Universe. This is the end of the podcast, so as always, you guys have got to know this is absolutely true every single episode.
Today is the beginning of the end and the start of a new beginning. Time has come to redefine yourself and to let go of the demons in your head that have held you in captivity for so long. It's time to flip the page and prove them wrong. It's time for rebirth. Yeah, time's up to say goodbye to all the haters, doubters, and non-believers trying to bring you down. In the blink of an eye, you'll realize that there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Finally, you will feel free to live a life you love living instead of the life you think other people want you to live. Remember, you are the highest authority when it comes to knowing what you want and what you love. So stop trading yourself for the approval from others. Ladies and gentlemen, weirdos and geeks, please repeat after me. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a I don't give a fuck. 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 It's time to start doing the right thing. So trust your instincts, stop listening to others, and own your decisions. People will always tell you what to do, and how to live. So let's create space for what matters most to you. You'll be glad you did. Now start claiming your time and your mental well-being by saying no more. and proudly. In other words, fuck you. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
Don't fucking scream at me.
Where's
you
the money?
Fuck you. Look at you with your fucking 48% body fat and
I don't give a damn. I don't really care about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. You talk way too much. I have heard enough about you and your problems. I don't give a damn. 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 You wanna be with me. You wanna feel something real, but I'm feeling differently. You're making plans to get to France, but don't wanna face the fact that I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that. Staying up late, sleeping all day, dreaming about Cadillacs. Buying new shoes, hanging by the pool, sipping on Coke and Jack. Calling my phone when you feel alone, but I'll never call you back. 'Cause I ain't got time, I ain't got time, I ain't got time for that.